The night my mother married Linda. She squeezed my shoulder hard enough to bruise and whispered, "You're lucky I chose you." I was 16. My dad had passed 2 years earlier and my mom was drowning in medical bills. When she met Linda, a polished real estate broker from suburban Chicago, I thought maybe life was finally turning around. Linda had the perfect smile, the perfect house, and the perfect tone when other people were listening. Behind closed doors, different story. She made it clear from day one that I was a charity case. "This house runs on discipline," she'd say, tapping her manicured nails against the marble kitchen island. "You contribute or you don't stay." Contribute meant cooking, cleaning, yard work, and babysitting her sister's kids every weekend without pay. Meanwhile, her biological daughter, Ashley, got spa days and a brand new Jeep for her 17th birthday. When I asked for $40 to join a school field trip, Linda laughed. "Be grateful I put a roof over your head." My mom stayed silent. That silence hurt worse than Linda's words. By senior year, I had a 4.0 GPA and an acceptance letter to a state university in Illinois. I was proud until Linda intercepted the financial aid documents. "You're not going away to college," she said flatly. "You'll attend community college nearby. We need you here." Need me, like unpaid labor. I found out weeks later she had listed me as a dependent employee in her small family assistance LLC, claiming tax benefits for housing me like I was a tenant, not her stepdaughter. I confronted her. She didn't deny it. "You eat here. You live here. You owe me." That was the moment something shifted inside me. I stopped trying to earn love. I started taking notes. Every receipt, every tax form left on the counter, every family business document she carelessly discussed on speakerphone. I recorded dates. I photographed paperwork. I saved everything to a hidden cloud folder under a fake name. If she wanted to treat me like an employee, fine. I'd become the most detail-oriented employee she'd ever had. The final straw came the night before my 18th birthday. I overheard Linda on the phone. "Yes, once she turns 18, I'll transition the property agreement fully. It's cleaner that way." Property agreement? I did some digging in her office while she was out showing a house. Inside a locked drawer one she thought I didn't know how to pick, I found it. A draft contract. She planned to have me sign a residency contribution agreement. It basically said I owed her back rent for the past 2 years, nearly $28,000, claiming it as deferred. Payment for housing and training. She was going to saddle me with debt the moment I became a legal adult. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I copied everything. And I made a decision. If Linda thought I owed her everything, she was about to learn exactly how expensive her greed would become. The morning I turned 18, Linda placed the contract in front of me like it was a birthday card. "Sign it," she said, sliding a pen across the table. "It's just paperwork. Adult responsibilities." I skimmed the pages like I hadn't already memorized every word. $28,000 in back housing, contributions, a clause stating I'd work exclusively for her real estate office for 4 years at adjusted compensation, which meant minimum wage on paper. Unpaid overtime in reality. "You're building character," she added sweetly, "and loyalty." I looked up at her. "Steady. Can I have a day to think about it?" Her smile tightened. "Don't be dramatic." But she agreed because she thought she had control. What she didn't know? I had already sent copies of everything to 3 places. A trusted teacher who had once told me, "If you ever need help, ask." A local legal aid clinic in Chicago. A secure email scheduled to send automatically if I didn't cancel it. That afternoon, I went to school and closed the counselor's door behind me. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. I explained everything. The tax filings, the fake LLC employment, the contract, the pressure. She didn't look shocked. She looked angry. Within a week, I had a consultation with a legal aid attorney. And that's when I learned something beautiful. What Linda was doing wasn't just unethical. It was illegal. falsifying tax information, misclassifying a minor as an employee, attempting to coerce a binding financial contract under manipulative circumstances, potential wage theft. The attorney asked one question that changed everything. "Do you want out?" Quietly. Quiet wasn't enough anymore. I chose accountability. Step 1 was simple. I didn't sign the contract. Instead, I moved my most important belongs into my trunk and stayed with a friend for a few days. When Linda realized I hadn't come home after school, she flooded my phone with texts. "After everything I've done for you? You're ungrateful. You'll regret this." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, she received a certified letter, not from me, from the Illinois Department of Revenue. Apparently, when you claim tax benefits for a dependent employee who is a full-time student with no formal pay records, it raises questions, especially when anonymous documentation supports the inquiry. I didn't have to lift a finger. The system did it for me. Linda called my mom in a panic. I heard about it through Ashley, who messaged me late one night. "What did you do?" "Mom is freaking out." I didn't reply. But I knew the investigation was just the beginning, because I hadn't even used the strongest card in my hand yet. See, during all those weekends babysitting her sister's kids, I overheard conversations about property flips, cash deals, underreported commissions, creative accounting, and I had timestamps, photos, audio snippets. Linda thought she was training me. She was. She trained me to watch, to document, to wait. Linda always believed she was untouchable. She had the image luxury SUV, tailored blazers, charity luncheons in downtown Chicago. Her social media was full of staged closing day, photos with smiling, families and oversized sold signs. To the outside world, she was success personified, but investigations don't care about curated images. 3 weeks after the tax inquiry letter arrived, her brokerage license was flagged for review, not suspended, just under examination. That was enough to rattle her. Real estate runs on trust. And whispers spread fast. I heard through Ashley that Linda was snapping at everyone, pacing, drinking more wine than usual, blaming jealous competitors. She still didn't know it was me. She thought it was random bad luck. It wasn't the strongest card I had. It wasn't just paperwork. It was patterns. While babysitting over the years, I'd sat at kitchen tables, pretending to scroll on my phone, while Linda bragged to her sister about creative structuring. She'd laugh about reporting lower sale prices to reduce commission splits. She'd talk about cash gift adjustments from buyers that somehow never appeared in official closing statements. At 16, I didn't fully understand it. At 18, I researched everything: Illinois real estate law, federal tax reporting requirements, whistleblower protections. And then I organized my evidence. Dates matched with listing records, audio clips matched with property transactions, screenshots matched with public sales data. I built a timeline so clean, it looked like a case study. When I submitted the full report anonymously to the appropriate regulatory board, I didn't feel scared. I felt calm. 2 months later, the audit expanded. Clients were contacted. Files were reviewed. Transactions from the last 3 years were pulled. That's when the panic truly started. One afternoon, Linda showed up at my friend's apartment unannounced. I hadn't given her the address. Ashley must have. She looked different. Not polished. Not composed. "You think you're clever?" she hissed when I stepped outside. I didn't confirm anything. I didn't deny anything. "I just want to live my life," I said evenly. "You'll destroy this family." That word family almost made me laugh. You did that yourself." For the first time in my life, she had no leverage, no roof to threaten, no money to dangle, no silence to manipulate. The investigation dragged on for months. Fines were issued first, then mandatory compliance reviews. Then something bigger, a formal hearing regarding license misconduct. Her name began disappearing from listings. Her perfect image cracked. And the best part? I hadn't lied. I hadn't fabricated. I hadn't exaggerated. I simply told the truth with proof. Money can be earned back. Reputation? Once it cracks, it never looks the same. By the time Linda's formal hearing rolled around, the whispers had turned into headlines in local real estate circles. Nothing front-page dramatic, just industry publications reporting. Licensing review due to compliance discrepancies. But in a business built on trust, that was devastating. Her brokerage quietly distanced itself. Her photo vanished from their website. Listings she once controlled were reassigned. Colleagues who used to toast her at networking events suddenly stopped returning calls. Ashley messaged me again. Mom says someone's sabotaging her. I stared at the text for a long time before replying. No one sabotaged her. Paperwork doesn't lie. The hearing itself wasn't public drama. It was fluorescent lighting, printed binders, and a panel that asked very specific questions. Questions backed by transaction records. Questions supported by financial inconsistencies. And then came the part Linda never anticipated. Former clients started talking. One couple mentioned feeling pressured to adjust paperwork. Another recalled cash incentives that never appeared on final statements. Small things, individually, but together, a pattern. The board didn't accuse her of being a mastermind criminal. They called it what it was: misconduct and misrepresentation. Her license wasn't permanently revoked, but it was suspended. 6 months. Mandatory ethics training, heavy fines, ongoing oversight. In her world, that was catastrophic. The luxury SUV was returned. The country club membership quietly canceled. The charity gala invitation stopped arriving. And for the first time in years, she had to explain herself instead of controlling the narrative. Meanwhile, I was moving forward. With help from legal aid and a part-time job I actually got paid for, I enrolled at the university. She tried to block me from attending when financial aid reviewed my situation. Especially after documentation of attempted coercion, I qualified for independent student status. No back rent. No debt contract. No control. The last time I saw Linda in person was outside a grocery store near our old house. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just diminished. She glanced at me like she wanted to say something sharp, something cutting. But she didn't, because she knew. She knew I hadn't ruined her life. I had simply removed the shield that let her get away with everything. As I walked away, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. I thought the suspension would be the end of it. I was wrong. 3 weeks into my first semester at college, I received a thick envelope forwarded from my mom's house. No return address. Inside was a civil demand letter. Linda was suing me. Defamation. Intentional interference with business operations. Emotional distress. I actually laughed out loud in my dorm room. Defamation requires lies. I hadn't told a single one. The letter demanded damages for false reports that allegedly caused her suspension. It was intimidation, plain and simple. One last attempt to scare me back into silence. Old me would have panicked. New me forwarded the letter directly to the same legal aid attorney who had helped me before. He called me the next morning. This, he said calmly, is what we call a strategic lawsuit to intimidate. And it's weak. Weak. That word felt better than revenge. Because here's what Linda hadn't considered. Investigations create records. Official findings. Written determinations. Her suspension wasn't based on rumor, it was based on documented discrepancies confirmed by a regulatory board. You can't sue someone for telling the truth to authorities. Within weeks, her attorney quietly withdrew the claim after receiving a response packet that included copies of the board's findings and a reminder about potential retaliation violations. The lawsuit evaporated, but the consequences didn't. Word travels fast in professional communities. Filing a baseless intimidation suit against a young college student? That didn't help her image. Former colleagues distanced themselves even further. My mom eventually called me voice shaky. She says, "You destroyed everything." I took a slow breath before answering. I didn't destroy anything. I refused to carry it. There was silence on the line, the kind that finally holds understanding instead of denial. Over time, my mom and I started rebuilding slowly, carefully, without Lyndon controlling the conversation. As for Linda, she completed her ethics training. She tried re-entering the market, but high-end clients didn't come back. Trust, once questioned, is expensive to repair. Meanwhile, I graduated debt-light, landed a job in compliance auditing, ironic, right? And built a life that didn't require anyone's permission. The greatest revenge wasn't watching her fall. It was realizing I no longer cared whether she stood back up. She used to tell me, "You're lucky I chose you." But in the end, she was the one who chose greed. And I chose freedom.